Coming up on the Sell Your Book podcast.
And this is what I would tell people. Don't overthink it, because what happens is I started to write the be all end all Bible of video marketing. And it was like, I did the outline and it was like going to be a brain dump of everything I had ever known and learned and this and that. And then it was just like, then I got shiny object. Oh, babe, I'll do a course. And, I just started to make it too complicated. No, it has to be high level. It needs to be an evergreen book that would never change. So then I said, let's simplify this, Jillian, get it down to the nugget. And the nugget was people need to be more comfortable on camera.
Welcome to Sell Your Book. It's the podcast for existing or aspiring self-published business book authors who want to know what's working right now to help you sell more books, get more clients from your books, and expand your opportunities. If this is your vibe, you gotta subscribe. Now, let's get into today's conversation.
Welcome to this episode. I am your host, Denise Renee, and today I have got a really fun and fantastic guest, and her name is Gillian Whitney. So let me let you little secrets about Miss Jillian. All right. So Jillian is a live stream specialist and coach who makes LinkedIn Live and recording video easy peasy. Okay, that is so important because some people are stressed out about video, and we don't want you to be stressed. Okay, she's here to take the stress out of it. She believes that every business professional should be using video to market themselves, and I think she's right. With over 10 years of experience as a marketing coach, Jillian works with B2B professionals from around the world. She's a global citizen now. She works with B2B professionals from around the world to leverage video to be discovered, noticed, and recognized. She is the host of a weekly LinkedIn Live show. And, there's no way you can use the product, not be a product of the product. She's the product of the product. All right. So you can find her on LinkedIn every single week. And you can also find the LinkedIn Easy Peasy podcast on Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Now, this is a Sell Your Book show. So, of course, she's got some books, right? So here are her titles. Stand Out in Your Job Search with Video, How to Feel More Comfortable on Camera, and her latest title, which is what grabbed my attention, and it was so fast. We'll get into it in a second. Her latest title is LinkedIn Live Guest Mastery. Build your brand and attract more clients. So y'all put your virtual hands together for Miss Gillian Whitney. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming on. And like I was saying, this was so fast. Literally earlier this week, I was watching you on another LinkedIn Live show with Michelle B. Griffin. And I was like, it's fabulous. It's fantastic. We were talking about your book. Guess what she did? She ran and grabbed her phone and opened up her Kindle and got the book. I started it. I didn't finish it yet. It's only because you would think that because I'm in the business of writing and reading that I'm always reading. I am always reading, but I'm always reading for work, basically. So I like to audiobook things. So the Kindle, so when I have to actually read something, I'm like, I'll take a little bit. So I'm a little busy, but I have enjoyed what I've gotten into so far. And definitely I'm on top of the topic because right now I'm in my LinkedIn phase. But I have been prattling. I'm going to hush up. And let you say hello to the people.
Awesome. Honored to be here. It's so fun. And I love how LinkedIn connects us so quickly. And I just love to just jump right in. So I just love it. And of course, I shouted you out in my newsletter this week because I love coming on and talking to podcasts, LinkedIn Lives, everything. It's awesome.
Well, let's start with how you got started doing what you do. Let us know.
Okay. So I used to be a general marketer. And speaking of books, I actually read a book called Content DNA, and it's written by John Asperian. I highly recommend it to everybody about trying to figure out your niche, your niche in your marketing. And I realized as a general marketer, I needed to narrow it down. And I decided that video marketing was kind of that thing that leapfrogs you to the top of the search results in Google and LinkedIn and Facebook and all the other platforms, YouTube, whatnot. And so I decided I would be all in on video marketing. And then I fell in love with LinkedIn Live and decided to sort of really focus in on live because, believe it or not, LinkedIn Lives are easier than making LinkedIn videos. And people are like, what? You know, like LinkedIn Lives. It's like, anything can happen on a live. And yes, anything can. It's not if, it's when. So anything can go wrong on a live, but it's forgiving. And we don't have to do the gazillion takes like you do when you pick up your cell phone and you try to make a video, and then you don't even post it because you're like, they're all awful. LinkedIn Lives, push the button and go. It's great.
So I feel like LinkedIn is that platform that people have been sleeping on for years. It's been growing very quietly, very steadily over the years. It's always known as the professionals platform. But LinkedIn was like a little bit later to getting into video and everything like that. But now LinkedIn really has a whole suite of creative tools for professionals, and connecting and discovering people is so easy. When did LinkedIn start offering lives as an option?
Lives kind of began about 4 years ago. And when they first came on the scene, it's like you had to apply. It was kind of like Willy Wonka. You needed the golden ticket to go to the chocolate factory. That's how it felt. And you had to apply. And of course, the big wigs got in first. And then us little people, we started saying, well, hey, we'd apply, and LinkedIn would kind of like, well, you got to prove you could do it. So you had to show you'd already been live somewhere else. So I had been live on Facebook and consistently doing video. So I got chosen. I had a very, very small network back then, maybe less than 500 people. And I just put myself out there, started going live every single Tuesday. And I'm coming up on 3 years now.
That is awesome and amazing. So tell us a little bit about how LinkedIn has really, and live specifically, has grown your audience. What do you do to promote your lives, particularly in the early days? Because I'm sure at this point now, people are helping you spread the word. They're like, oh, you got to check this out. But at the beginning, it's always slow to build an audience on something. So what are some of the things that you did to begin to grow your audience for your LinkedIn lives? And then we'll get into how you got into writing your first book.
Sounds good. So with LinkedIn Live, the way that I recommend it is what I did. And it's literally choose the area, the time and the date you're going to own. So I decided at the get-go, my time would be, I actually was living in Israel at the time. So it was 8 p.m. Tuesday night, which back in the United States would be 10 a.m. because my business was based in Las Vegas. I just happened to be living there then. And that is the time that I do. So, choose your time, whether it's once a month, once a week, once a quarter, every 2 weeks, whatever. Be consistent so that you grow an audience. Think like you're Oprah. You want to go at the same date, same channel, whatever. So that's the first one. And then having a theme. So my theme was LinkedIn easy peasy because I was trying to learn LinkedIn and I had experts come on and talk. And that's a whole part of live, of when you host a live and you have guests, they bring their network with them. So now it's 1 + 1 = 3. It just is exponential how it increases your visibility. And of course, my whole book, flinging into my current book, and we'll talk about my first book in a second, is that I recognize it's a lot to host a live. And I'm being totally honest with you. It's a lot of moving parts, but being a guest is easy peasy, which is why I wrote my book that I released recently. But we'll talk about my first book first, but I just wanted to let you know about that.
So yeah, let's get into your first book. And first, I always like to ask people, did you feel like you were a writer before you got started writing the first book? And what motivated you to write your first book?
Okay. So yes, I think I like came into the delivery room when I was born with a pad of paper and a pen. I've always been writing, always. Yeah. There's just some of us who that's how we process our feelings, our thoughts. I've always been a journaler. I've been a journaler all my life. I have all my journals. I not when I was a kid, but pretty much from like 25 on, I have every single journal, which I have scanned digitally because you just never know when you're going to want your stuff, or maybe you start forgetting stuff as you get older. So always a journaler. I was always a writer. I used to be a tech writer, which is kind of using the other side of my brain. So one side for creative journaling and emotions and thoughts, and the other one for like computer tech writing, stuff. So I have always felt I had that, and I'm an avid reader. And I think readers become writers. If you want to write, you need to read, because that really helps you get that. So just number one, readers are writers.
You are singing my song. I was just having this conversation in somebody's comment section a couple days ago about, if you want to improve your writing, one of the best things you can do is to start reading more. And a lot of times people, business people, professionals, entrepreneurs, they want to write a book because they want the prestige of writing a book, but they're not readers, and I can understand if you're not in the habit or practice of writing, but at least be a reader, right? Because that's really going to help you in so many ways. You learn so much by osmosis. Because that's really going to help you in so many ways. You learn so much by osmosis. But I can talk about that forever. So you are already felt like a writer, which is awesome. And technical writing is so interesting. In my copywriting career, I was trying to break into doing technical writing, and it's such the chicken and the egg conundrum. How in the world do you get experience? The people want you to have experience doing technical writing, but how do you get the experience if you're not hiring? So, I let that go. But that's actually a great foundation for writing books, because you're always having to think, you're always having to organize your thoughts, all that good stuff. So, what prompted you to get started with the, let me see, your first title is, I hope I have this in order. The first title was Stand Out in Your Job Market with Video.
No, it was this one, which is How to Be More Comfortable on Camera. That was my first book. So
Okay.
the second one was The Job Search. And this book was a result of, I was on a podcast, and everybody on the podcast had, basically one of the questions the host asked was, name a favorite book. And so he always, he laughs and he says, of course, people always talk about the book that they're writing, that they wrote, whatever. And so he said, what's your favorite book? And he says, so what book have you written? And I said, I haven't written any book. And then that was just kind of like, I'm never going to go on a podcast again and say, I haven't written any book, because I've been wanting to write a book for years and years. So that was the impetus to finally just kind of get off it and do it. So that was kind of like, put me out there. But primarily, I wrote this book for my clients and prospective clients, and maybe people that couldn't afford to work with me as well, in that the biggest struggle as a video coach is not the tech, it's the I hate the way I look on camera. It's I hate the sound of my own voice. I literally had somebody once who said, I would rather scratch out my eyes than do a video. And I went, whoa. We have to help people change that mindset. And you do not have to be a gorgeous 18-year-old to do a video. Anybody.
Gorgeous 50-year-old. Hey.
But it's about our inner message, and people are not judging us, because people are saying, what's in it for me when I'm watching your video? They're not sitting there going, oh, she said and and whatever. They're saying, is she adding value? Is her message communicating value? And to be honest with you, they don't care what you look like. We overthink it, and we're our own worst self-critic.
Yeah, but I'm not getting on here without makeup.
Yeah, gotta have that lipstick. Gotta have
something on the face. Okay, awesome. So when did you write? When did you release that first book, and how long did it take you to write? Now, you may have an unfair advantage because you're always writing, but so from the time that, okay, I'm like loading up the questions here. let me peel them back. Okay, so from the time that you got on that podcast and you had that epiphany, you were like, I'm not going on another show without having a book, until you actually hit publish. What was that time frame?
Okay, so I think I kind of mulled it around, and this is what I would tell people: don't overthink it, because what happens is I started to write the be all end all Bible of video marketing. And it was like, I did the outline, and it was like going to be a brain dump of everything I had ever known and learned, and this and that. And then it was just like, then I got shiny object. Oh, babe, I'll do a course. And, I just started to make it too complicated, too complicated. And so finally, the wake up call was something that was going to be in my book was actually deleted off LinkedIn. It was called a profile cover video. And that got deleted. And that made me rethink that it's like, no, it has to be high level. It needs to be an evergreen book that would never change. So it can't be a technical manual. Technical writer was coming out saying I would just do everything to teach people, but it's a moving target. So then I said, what? Let's simplify this, Jillian, get it down to the nugget. And the nugget was, people need to be more comfortable on camera.
Real quick, I know you're enjoying today's conversation, but do you want to write a book that helps you get clients for your business, grows your audience, and expands your opportunities, but you don't know how to get started writing this type of a book that can help you produce these results? Even if you don't feel like an expert, the very act of writing a book will help position you as one. And there is a proven path forward that will help you get what you want. I put it all together for you in my 4 steps to book writing success. Visit www.writingwithdeniserenee.com/4 steps. Not only do you get the steps, but I also give you videos for each step, breaking them down so that you would know your actionable steps to follow to get started writing your book right away. So hit pause on this episode right now and head over to writingwithdeniserenee.com/4 steps to download, and then unpause so we can get back into this conversation.
So then I said, what? Let's simplify this, Jillian, get it down to the nugget. And the nugget was, people need to be more comfortable on camera. So how can I do that? So I looked at my existing content. This is a bit of a cheat, but I think it's okay to cheat, in that I said, I have a whole video series that talks about that. Why don't I use that as my base? And I'm a Toastmaster. So I've always known speaking can be your book. So yeah, that's just logical. So I took my videos and I just went through and I had a series, and they became the outline, added a little bit more. And of course, you flesh it out, because you don't want to just put a transcript in a book. It would be terrible. So it was like, but I used it as the crappy first draft, and then began to massage it and make it better. I think I literally wrote my book within 30 days. And then it was just like, okay, how am I going to go from a manuscript to published? Because that's a route in itself. And so got that all figured out with self-publishing. And I put that book out September 19th, 2023. And I just released my 3rd book, and I'm not even on my 1st year anniversary, and I've done 3 books.
That was pretty fantastic. I love the, I don't know that this is a word, but it is now, prolificness of really moving that quickly. I want to backtrack, because I really love that of taking your content and repurposing it. I actually worked with one of my clients. This is one of my clients' books. And they started just like you. They had a whole video series, and they had it transcribed. Now, they were like, yeah, we're about to publish this. I was like, no. Because as you said, the way that you speak is not necessarily the way that things should be written, but it is a fantastic first draft. To take that, organize it, and then you edit it and smooth it all out and make it all nice and pretty, and you get your final product. So you got the first book done. Did you have any inroads to self-publishing? Did you know about it before, or were you just kind of learning about it on the fly?
Well, I assigned that job to my husband. So my husband's, I'm one of the most fortunate people on the planet, in that I married the IT guy who does my website. He does my YouTube channel. He does all that sort of techie stuff that I just don't have the time to do. So I turned to him and I said, okay, I want to go the self-publishing route because I want to maintain control, and I wanted it to be done my way. And I wanted to learn because I'm an INFJ personality type. So I'm always wanting to learn, and I wanted to learn the process. And so got the software, he took care of it, he got it all ready. And then of course, then you have to go through the whole cover and how you're going to do all that stuff. And that's how I did that. And I think that's really good to, as an author, is to figure out, okay, what's your next step beyond the manuscript? Because there's many, many options out there, and it's up to you to figure it out. I decided Amazon only would be my first route. And I just went for the ebook. And then of course I went, what if people want a paperback? And then that's a whole other next step.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Definitely there are a lot of avenues and choices that people can go with for self-publishing. And it really comes down to reading and researching and figuring out what's the path that you want to take for yourself. There are some people who are Amazon all the way. I think my first guest, she was like, listen, Amazon has been good to me. I am not changing anything. And then there are other people who are like, I will never put my books. So, and there are ways to get around that. There are so many tools and resources out there. So I would really encourage everyone, research. But okay, so you have a great husband, which is awesome and amazing. I don't know. I'm kind of like Shaka Khan, like, I'm a woman. It's all in me. Like I'm always doing everything by myself. But I mean, that's just kind of the way I like it. All right. So you got your book published in October.
September.
Okay. So I'm gonna go through the processes for the other two books, and then we'll double back and we'll talk about sales. So you get the first one out, and then when did you write the second one, and when did you get that one out? And were you just like on a roll, just writing?
I was on a roll. I think it was like too many years of like, one day. And then it was just like, no, tomorrow, today, tomorrow. So literally I had got this one done. And while my husband was doing all the publishing, I just moved right along. It was like, next. And I actually got this tip from Jodi Picoult, who's like one of my favorite fiction writers. And literally that is her process. She writes one book. I love her books. Her books are like My Sister's Keeper and all sorts of great books. But her process is the day that she finishes her novel, the next day she starts her next one. Because she says, if I don't keep going, then I might stop. So she says, I don't want the well to dry up. So I just keep moving. So I literally went, oh, okay, what would Jodi do? She'd go on a roll. So then I literally said, well, what other content can I repurpose? Because, we've all got those books that like our legacy book, the book on the kitchen table, my wisdom I have all those books, but I'm not ready to do those yet. So then I said, what else content wise do I have? And my clients are all solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. And yet I'm a guest on many, many shows of people in the HR industry who are coaches, HR coaches, career coaches. They work with job seekers. And so I went, you know what? I have all this content that's not appropriate for my audience, but what if I took it all together and I took this bit from this live and this bit from this live? And so I just got all my transcripts and I literally pulled it all together to create an outline so that I could move on to book number 2, which was Stand Out in Your Job Search with Video. And so that's how I did that one. And it really felt good. And again, it was a totally different target market than the first book. Although, to be honest with you, solopreneurs, job hunters, everybody needs to feel more comfortable on camera. So that was a real general audience, but the job search book was kind of niching down a bit.
I hope you guys are taking notes, okay? Furiously, like pad, paper, on your phone, on your tablet, because Jillian is dropping the gems. Okay, the gems, the gems. Let me roll back because I am the same mindset that you kind of had where when you first started your first book of, hey, I'm just going to put everything into this book. It's the same mindset. A lot of people come to me as a book writing coach and they're just trying to write that one perfect book that does everything from now until forever. And I think as an artist, as a creative, I already know you just never know what people are going to respond to. You can create something and you love it, and people go, meh. And then you pull something out of the hat, and you're like, oh, that whole thing. And then people are like, so you can't really judge, what's going to be the thing. The thing is to just keep on producing. And the thing I always recommend people, they want to write a book to help them get established as, an authority figure, a thought leader person. And I'm like, you know what? The more books you write, the better. The more you write on your subject, the better. Go deeper instead of trying to go broad and go all over the place. So I really love how you were just like, okay, number one, let's make this simple, and really focusing on one topic or one thing to help people with. And I'm sure it really blew you up. And like I said, we're going to get back to the sales and talk about how it helped your audience. But I just really wanted to really hone in on that point for people who haven't published their first book yet, and they're still in their heads. You don't have to solve the entire world's problem. Just solve one problem. Dig through if you've been creating content, dig through your content and see what in the world have people responded to the most. What do they need the most? Look at the clients that you're serving or the clients that you're helping if you're still in the corporate world. What are the things that people are having issues with? That's the topic of the book right there. But I can get on my soapbox, so I'm gonna get off. But I just wanted to highlight that. So, okay. So you kept on going, you had that next target, and that's another human psychology thing where it's like once we accomplish a goal, it's like, what do we do next? So always having another goal, always having another book is helpful. All right, so you got the second one. When did you publish Stand Out in Your Job Search? So How to Feel More Comfortable on Camera, that was October 23.
September. So the first one was September 19th. Okay. The second one was either the end of November or beginning of December. So it was real quick. It was real quick.
And then what prompted the last one, the one I actually bought? I was like, wait, hold on, I need this.
Well, that was, if you think about it, this book was born out of being a guest on other people's LinkedIn lives. So then I went, if I can do that, then I should be telling other people to do that. And I actually was a speaker at a conference in March. It was Uplift Live 2024. It was in the UK. And I was speaking about LinkedIn Live, and I decided to talk about the guesting experience because it was a conference dedicated just to LinkedIn, and it was from people all over the world. So my speaking topic was about using LinkedIn Live. And I talked about being a host versus being a guest and sort of my sort of top 7 tips, whatever. And that was my speech. And so I kind of had the whole idea of doing that because I had the speech. And so then that's naturally felt like the most logical step to making my third book, which was, of course, this one here, the big one, LinkedIn Live Guest Mastery, Build Your Brand and Attract More Clients. So that was the easy transition for that. So the conference was in March. And then, of course, I came home and I got sick with pneumonia from traveling. And that's when sometimes you need to be flat on your back with pneumonia to get those ideas of where to go. So I just leaned into resting and thinking. And I did a lot of my book using my phone. And that is, again, if you're not a writer, if you find typing at a blank computer screen freaks you out, or you don't like writing on paper. I write on paper. I love writing on paper. So I just like the pen on the paper. I like the feel of it. But if you're not comfortable with that, I use the Otter app. Otter app is my favorite. And I love it because it transcribes it for me automatically in the cloud, and I can be out walking. So, you could walk the dog and write your book walking the dog. And again, it's not going to be the published manuscript. It's that crappy first draft again. That's it. And that's how I did that one. And then, of course, adding some, tips from my speech, and some other things I had done on other lives. I talked about, the whole repurposing of your content. So I'd done a lot of different places. So again, it was like using my speech, using my notes, my ideas, and bringing it all together and adding in stories. And I think that's another part of a really good part of writing is when you're writing a book and you have your outline, think about what's a good story that illustrates this point, because it's easy to write our stories. And if you can't write your story, again, speak your story. We all speak our stories. Put us in a coffee shop, chatting with friends. You got a story. That's great fodder for your books.
I think that is one of the most important ways to differentiate yourself when you're writing books. A lot of times people are like, oh, well, everyone's written a book on dieting and everyone's already written a book on personal finance, but we haven't heard your voice. We haven't heard your experiences. There's a particular perspective that you have that people are missing. And the reason these books sell is because people still want to know. So, but anyway, let me not get in my soapbox. All right. So in the space of, because I write, I don't do math. So September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. It's now July right now when we're recording. I think this episode will come out in August. In the last 10, 11 months, not even a year, you have written and published 3 books. I think that's like some kind of world record somewhere. So number one, kudos to you. So I would love to know how, let's go back to last September. How did you prepare to sell that first book? How did the sales go? And how did that impact your business?
Okay. So essentially, I like to liken the whole process to having a baby. So it's like writing that book is kind of like the beginning of the process, that one magical moment, right? And then there's the birthing of the whole book, which is, the publishing and the editing and all the stuff that you go through. And then comes the marketing. And that's like raising your kid from, a newborn to teenager, because the marketing is a huge part. People think, oh, my book's published. It's on Amazon now. I can sit back and just let the royalties run through. No, you have to launch your book. So you have to be strategic. You need a marketing plan. You need to create social media posts. You need to think, how am I going to promote this book? So it's like, I literally did I wanted to have an Amazon bestseller. That was my goal of my first book. And that you have to be very strategic about that, because that requires picking the right keywords on Amazon and the categories that your book will be in. And you want to go for niche categories that are related to your book that maybe there's not as much competition. So there's a lot of strategy in that. And then, of course, social media posts and getting your network to support you and, all that sort of thing. And Amazon's crazy because when you launch a promotion, it begins at midnight on Pacific time. So it's like I was doing posts in the middle of the night the first day. So all that stuff has to be into your pre-planning. A lot of people I know, I didn't do it, but a lot of people I know actually send out their manuscript in advance as advanced reader copies, so that day one, people can now go buy your book and then be a verified purchase and write a review, because reviews are social proof. So that's another element to consider. There's so many things. So it's not just write it, pop it up on Amazon, and now I'm heading to the beach, folks, and I'll be sitting there with my pina coladas, collecting my royalties. It doesn't happen. You got to do the work, and it's ongoing. It's ongoing. Like a year later, it's like, I still have to go out and promote this. But the wonderful thing is that each book could actually now be a speaking gig for me. So I could tell people, hey, I could come talk to your business about how to feel more comfortable on camera. And I could maybe bring in some of my books, and that could be part of my speaking deal. And, or we could make the ebook a special. I can make a promotion. There's lots of different ways to do the ongoing marketing as well. So book launch, number 1, ongoing marketing, number 2.
Okay, I'm remembering to unmute my mic. again, all of the gems, okay? All of the gems. So guys, gals, take your notes. So after all of that preparing and planning for yourself, so how did your first week sales go for your, did you hit that Amazon bestseller list?
I did. And it was really, to be honest with you, it's true, just vanity, but it makes you just go, oh, you hear angels, oh, you just get really, really excited. And I took my screenshot, I put it on my website, and that's another part of marketing. Make your website, make your book launch, make your book page, and get your reviews on there. I have like a sample on my book launch page. I have the here, go write a review for me, because that's the hardest part, getting the social proof, getting people to write reviews. That's the hardest part. But I put that screenshot of that Amazon bestseller because it made a difference to me. That was just something I always wanted to do. Now, I'm not walking around calling myself a bestseller author or anything like that. I could, but it's just like, that was the book. This one that I recently did, it didn't make to the Amazon bestsellers, but that's okay. I did it once. I was happy. So that was my plan. And I actually, to be honest with you, I did not pay attention to sales that first couple of days because I didn't want to have an emotional tie to what was going on. I know some people sit there and they're monitoring how many ebooks did I sell? How many paper books did I sell? I didn't want to go there because it's kind of like Seth Godin. He doesn't read his Amazon book reviews. He's a great marketer. If anybody doesn't know him, go read Purple Cow. It's my favorite book. And he says he doesn't read his Amazon reviews because he goes, I would never write another book. If I read one crappy review, he goes, I'd never read another book. So write another book. So I kind of thought about that because Seth Godin's my God. I love Seth Godin. And I thought, I don't want to sit there monitoring the book sales because in my opinion, if I sold one book, I had achieved my goal. If I had just touched one life, I had achieved my goal. For me, it wasn't about the money. Of course, the money is wonderful and we all want to have that return on our investment. And I can say, looking back, I just look at it big picture. I've sold several hundred copies of all of my books. I don't sit down and say, this one did better than this. I don't do that because I don't want to know to that level. And that's just me. Other people will monitor it because if you've invested your money and your time, you might have goals. Okay, I wanted to sell X amount of units to recoup, my investment. So everybody's different. So that was my process.
No, that's totally fine. I mean, everybody does have a very different approach to how they're monitoring or not monitoring their numbers, how much was sold. I think there's definitely validity for both. Where you don't want to be upside down where you spent $10,000 on getting your book done and you've only made like 100. Okay, come on. But I think also that the returns that a business book author gets is not just in the physical units sold. It's really about getting into the hands of your right target market. If you only sold 100 books, but they went to the right 100 people, that could be explosive for your business in terms of what kind of speaking gigs are you getting, what kind of contracts are you getting, how the new clients that are coming into your business. So I'd really love to also dig into how your books have impacted your business and how has it impacted your ability to get more speaking gigs and how has it impacted the growth of your business and the revenue in your business.
I would have to say having a business book is almost like the 21st century business card. It opens up doors for you that you wouldn't have before, because when somebody sees you've done a book, you have instant credibility. You're seen as a thought leader. You're seen as someone who's committed. You sat down and you did the work. This is not just, a light thing. Everybody recognizes the hard work that goes beyond that. And I can tell you that I have never applied to be on a podcast, to be on a LinkedIn Live, to be on a webinar. I have never applied. I have inbound people coming to me saying, would you like to be on my show? Yeah. Whereas other people, they have to pitch, and I actually talk about that in my book because it's okay to pitch. It's okay to pitch. You have to do it right, but it's really nice to already have that credibility and authority, and people know your brand, and they just naturally keep bringing you on their show. And it's like the clips you can get from that, but also every time you're on a show, you are being exposed to more people, and that's where you get the ROI, is that people see you on a show that if you hadn't done the book, you wouldn't be on the show. And now you're on the show and they're saying, hey, I want to work with you. And so it's like they already see that you are an expert. So you don't have to sell yourself. It's awesome. They just show me your website, click the buy button, for coaching sessions, whatever. Make me a custom video. I know you make videos. I love your videos. Make me one for my LinkedIn Live, whatever. So it's that indirect result that really a book can do for you.
So have you seen a specific or a marked increase of buy nows on your website, or book a session with me, or how is that? And I can't speak. How has that impacted the bottom line of your business over the last 10, 11 months of having your books out?
I would say it doubled my business. So that's good. Doubled my client base. And it also has just encouraged me to do more and more books. And there's also just, even sometimes when even you don't get a client, you're just getting the kudos of somebody. I actually had somebody the other day who bought my book, The How to Feel More Comfortable on Camera. She got it when it first came out, and she wrote me that she finally did her first video a couple of weeks ago. And she just said, I wanted to let you know, I've read your book several times, and that just made me feel so good that it had that effect. And I've had people get my book and give them away at, like, raffle them off in their business functions, and they're doing events, and they'll buy several copies. And that makes you feel really good too, because now it's going out to people you don't even know. But if you are smart and you put your contact information in your book, you don't have to monitor that. It is a lead magnet. It's out there so that people can see it. So put your LinkedIn QR code that we all get on LinkedIn, put your website links and the ebook, they tap and they go, but have all that stuff, because you want to make it easy peasy, because that's my mission. Make it easy peasy for people to read your book and then come work with you. That's what you want. It is a lead magnet.
It certainly is. I'm always telling people the book itself is a lead magnet, and then I say put a lead magnet inside the lead magnet. So it's so super easy. If you have a dedicated landing page to some freebie or a workbook that goes along with the book, now they're getting something really valuable, but somewhere new you're getting their email address. And then, you can be nurturing them and doing all the good things. What has been, that's a really cool testimonial. What has been, have there been other really cool stories like that, or one, additional story that really stands out in terms of a testimonial from any of your books?
I think just the idea that a few people are now working with me they're working with my husband, actually, because they kind of went, if you can do this, I can do this. And they got inspired to make their own books. And then, of course, I'm helping them, with marketing, because I do video marketing and consulting and general marketing as well. And then my husband's now getting all this extra work and doing self-publishing. So that's brought in extra revenue, which was like not even the goal at the beginning. It was like, I just wanted him to do my books. Now he's doing other people's books. So that's kind of a fun thing. And it's added a new revenue stream and a focus of my business as well. And that is totally unexpected. I did not think that would be part of what I would be doing. But I think you just have to lean into something and you go, if I'm passionate about this, why don't I want to help other people be passionate to do what I've done? And I think that's the beauty of the time that we live in. Anybody can write a book now. There's no gatekeepers anymore. There used to be, where we'd have to, apply to a publisher. But now it's like, you can do it. And literally, if you don't want to do the paper book, even, I know people that just do ebooks. That's it. They just do the Kindle ebooks and then they move on with their life. And they go, I don't want to complicate it. I like the paperback book because I'm a reader. I need paperbacks. But for some folks, ebooks might just be enough. And then go on to the next one.
Exactly. Keep the ball rolling. Write that next book. And also, Jillian, you have from top to bottom just been dropping gems our entire time. I could keep you here talking. I could talk myself, but we're not going to do that. Is there a final thought that you want to share with the audience before we get your contact information in? Roll on to the next.
Absolutely. So I truly believe there is a book in all of us, and don't let that self-doubt happen. And I wanted to tell you quite honestly, when you go to do that first book, there's this little voice in your head that jumps in at the last minute and says, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't hit that publish button." And you just have to say, "Oh, be quiet," and get in the back of the car. I'm driving, and just keep moving forward, because that self-doubt happens, and it's kind of something nobody talks about. And it's okay to talk about that. That's where you want to have people that support you, an accountability coach, whatever. So that's so, so important. And then probably the last thing is just realizing that, think it through, figure out what you want to do, keep it simple. And if you've got a book that's huge, take that book and make it a series and just say, okay, I'm going to write book number 1 of my series. And I'm not going to do the whole big, huge thumping Bible that's 700 pages. It's like, start small. My first book was 50 pages and my last book was like 170 or something. You're going to get bigger as you go. So start off with that first baby step.
All right. I love it. Thank you so very much. So how and where are the best, where? Okay. Where's it? I can talk. I promise I can. Where is the best place that people can find you, find out about your books, and if they want to work with you in terms of getting more comfortable with video and starting with LinkedIn live streaming, because I want to do it too. And that's why I'm reading your book and I'm like, okay, what do I do? So how do we get in contact with you?
LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is my jam. Just go to LinkedIn, Jillian Whitney. You can't miss this hair. So it's like if you search on LinkedIn and you see somebody with this curly hair, you got me. Yeah, I'm the one. And if you say that you know Denise and you saw me on this show, I will connect with you. So I don't do the just follow me. That's like the queen. Just follow me from afar. If you're a friend of Denise, you're a friend of mine. So just go ahead and send me a connection request and just let me know, and I would be happy to connect with you.
Thank you so very much for coming and sharing your wisdom, sharing your book, sharing all of the things with us. You guys and gals, thank you for being here on this episode of the Sell Your Book podcast. And we will see you in the next one. We're going to keep it rolling.